So I was born in 95, born here in Korea, but then I was adopted and then moved to the States, I think at a couple months old, and then grew up in Arizona my whole life. And then recently just moved back here to get more in touch with my roots. And then now I'm just teaching English. I have an older brother who's also a Korean adoptee, and then he lives out in LA and he's doing music production. It was interesting because I was talking to my brother about this. We were out for dinner and then we saw another family who was adopted as well, like their children were adopted. And then my brother and I were like, oh my God, is that what we look like? Because like, I guess growing up with like in a white family, it just seemed normal to me. And so I guess I kind of considered myself like, I just never thought that I look completely different than like my parents do, unless we're in situations where I'm surrounded by other people who are like mostly white. So growing up, my parents took me and my brother to a Korean heritage camp. And so that's kind of like how I know a little bit about Korean culture. And I remember at a young age, they would always like read books to like me and my brother as well, talking about like adoption and then like what it means to be like Korean American. And so they were never shy with the culture and wanting to like maintain and like retain that culture. Yeah, so they're like really open about it. So I read an article once about what it means to be Korean American, and she identified herself as like the hyphen, right? Because you're not completely Korean, you're not completely American. And so I would consider myself also to be that hyphen. You kind of have a little bit of both. The community that I grew up with mostly were Caucasians, but then in high school, I feel like I found that small niche of like other Asian Americans, and so I mostly hung out with them. And then majority of my friends in college as well were not Korean American, but like Asian American. Growing up, I never experienced like big accounts of racism. It's just comments in school like, oh, chinky eyes, or you're Asian, like you must be smart, blah blah blah. But I think like a lot of people just knew I was adopted, and so if anything, it was like reverse racism. They're like, oh, like Maddie, you're so white, you know, like how are you Korean when you don't even eat like Korean food, or you know, how do you not know about this like K-pop band, or you don't even speak Korean, you're so white, type of thing. So if anything, that's kind of the majority of the comments that I got. What's more difficult, I think, not is the racism. Sure, for other people, definitely. For me personally, it was like image, right? So seeing what is the beauty of like to be white or have blonde hair, blue eyes, or hanging out with friends, because I did have friends that are white as well, and like going out to clubs or dancing, like they would get the attention first, right? Or if anything, I'm seen as, oh, you're really beautiful for an Asian, or I love the shape of your eyes or the color of your skin, but it's like you should like me for who I am as a person, not for how I look. If we rely, like men and women, rely on other people or like social media and like getting that external validation, it's always going to be crumbling down, because people are always going to be changing. They have different opinions. And so it's like if we both were to look at a picture, we're going to have different opinions on it. And so I feel like confidence is just a really beautiful thing to have, you know, and I don't think that looks have to be everything, and they shouldn't be everything. At first, I didn't even want to come to Korea. I avoided it like the plague, and I knew I wanted to leave Arizona and like broaden my horizons and travel and teach English. But I just didn't even look at job postings or opportunities here in Korea. And like at first I avoided like all of Asia. And I know the reason behind that is because I wasn't ready. I felt like I wasn't ready to deal with the can of worms that could possibly open up. And I think a lot of it was also because I was scared how I would be viewed, because I don't speak Korean. As like an English teacher here, these kids are so funny. Kids say the funniest things ever, and I love it. And they're like, they just kind of assume that I'm like American because I'm their English teacher, right? And so they're like, oh, but then when I tell them I'm like, oh, I was born here in Korea, they're like, oh, teacher, you're Korean? You know what I mean? So it's like they associate you being Korean if you are like born here. And then they're like, teacher, do you know? But I tell them like, oh, I don't speak Korean. And they're like, yeah, you do. Do you know what 안녕하세요 means? And I was like, nope, I have no idea what it means. Okay, let's go back to speaking English. For me, it's like all these small things that I should be able to do, like make an appointment, like get my teeth clean, like go to the dentist, get my hair cut, like send mail, like all these small things I could just easily do in the States is the most difficult thing for me here because of that language barrier. Even like sometimes ordering food. For like when I first moved here, I like didn't I didn't like leave my apartment at all. I didn't even go grocery shopping for like a month because I'm like, oh, I have to like interact with people and like speak Korean to them, even though I don't speak Korean. And it kind of like gave me a lot of anxiety. To me, I wouldn't consider myself Korean like back when I lived in the States. I really didn't have an expectation of what Korea was going to be like. But then life kind of worked its way and did its thing, and now I ended up here and I love it and I really enjoyed all my experiences here. When people ask me though, they're like, oh, why don't you speak Korean? I'm just like, oh, I just, grew up in the States. But I always omit that, oh, it's because I'm adopted. Because in the few times that I did, I can feel that they get awkward about it. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry type of thing. Or they just feel like guilt or remorse. And I just don't want them to feel that way because it's like, I know that you're apologizing on like Korea's behalf and like the government, but also at the same time, like it's not something that you have to be sorry about, When it comes to your identity and who you are, you can't always have that bottled up. And so, ironically enough, I think what I was running away from at home, like from home, like wanting to escape, blah, 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 like obviously that follows me. And it kind of like forced me to be like, okay, let's actually have a conversation with myself and like dig deep and try to figure out like who I am type thing. The thought about meeting my birth family only came up because I just wanted to know what they looked like. But it never was in the sense of like, oh, my adoptive mom is not my real mom type of thing. It was just more out of curiosity. And I knew not to get any expectations or hopes up because more times than not, it just comes to a dead end, and that's how my story happened. So the social worker they located her and like contacted my mom, but then her response, according to my social worker, was that she denied the whole adoption, and then she was like, oh, please stop contacting me, right? And then which is also understandable because she probably has a family and has kids, and like if her family knew about me, then that could also like put her in danger. Also, like if 20 some years later, it's like, hey, I'm here, let's meet up. As like a mom that like gave up her baby, I feel like if I was in her situation, I really wouldn't know what to do. I would have so many different feelings. So it's understandable as to why she wouldn't want to. I've had friends suggest like, oh, you can write a letter and leave it in your file, and then if your birth mom, like she has access to it, so she can always look at it if she wants to. But I'm fine with how it happened and where it ended. I don't want to put myself in this box of like, I'm a Korean adoptee, therefore I'm X, Y, and Z. And I'm not here to share my like adoption story because I think my whole life revolves around my adoption. I'm just here to share my story about like who I am. I don't think there's like one main thing that I want to get out of from living in Korea. I just want to take the experience as a whole. And I think just being able to reflect and look back, like if I'm in the future looking back on my life in Korea, it would just be an accumulation of all the experiences that I've had or the people that I've met and like the different things that I've done and how it's like shaped me as a person. At the end of the day, I just want to put out like good vibes and like good energy and like help other people which is also why I wanted to go into marriage family therapy, is because I feel like my goal or my purpose for myself and like the reason why I'm here is to help others. I'm really big about the connections that I have or that people have with other people. And I think even a small chance of just like meeting someone. So, say, for example, this interview, like when I walk away from this has been a really impactful moment for me, even though we just met. And then, because it all kind of ties in at the end. I think like the people that you meet, the connections that you have throughout your lifetime, they all are connected some way or another. It would be, now that I'm thinking about it, like my dad has really influenced me, just to be kind and really gentle. My dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and then that was a little bit rough, but he was able to see me graduate, which was really nice. But I think, if anything, it just made us cherish our time with each other more, and that kind of also branched out with our like friendships as well. With my mom, she's very like tough love. So she's taught me to be like really resilient. And I think without my dad like teaching me how to be kind, and then without my mom not like teaching me how to be resilient, I don't think I would be like here in the first place. So my name is Madison, and this is my Korean American story.